Now, staying in the theme of films that are directed by people we commonly think of as actors, you played Jimmy Fuller in the Tim Blake Nelson's Leaves of Grass with Edward Norton, who's a friend of the show.
And Edward Norton.
Yeah, and Edward Norton, which premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival in 2009. What was that production like, and how was it to work with Tim Blake Nelson?
Oh my God, talk about like fun and like incredible human being. It's fun to do this little retrospective with you guys because it's like all these people are so much fun. I mean, really incredible people I've gotten to be around. And you interviewed Lila Robbins.
And in doing that, then you create a three-dimensional person.
And Lila was in the production of Midsummer Night's Dream that I did with Tim Blake Nelson in the park in New York. And we were the mechanicals in Midsummer Night's Dream, which usually when you're playing the mechanicals, it was Jesse Tyler Ferguson, Jay Sanders. We had a really great group, and Tim was our leader in that group. And we had so much freaking fun. Because basically your stuff is to come on. It's like being in a comedy where you're the comic relief. So people are laughing, but you're going to get them really laughing. And that's your job. And it's the best gig in the friggin' world to also do that in Central Park in New York. So you can't help but bond with everybody that's in that show with you and just love them all. So Tim and I actually kind of knew of each other a little bit. He'd seen me in that production of Scapin years ago and had been a big fan of that show. And so we share a kind of similarity in that we get cast in these kind of odd clown-like roles too. So we hit it off great. We've remained friends. And then he said to me at the end of the run, he says, hey, I'm writing this movie. I got a part for you. And it's like, I'm always terrified of that kind of thing because then my hopes get sky high. And I really wanted to work with him again. And sure enough, he calls me down to audition for Avi Kaufman, who's an extraordinary casting director in New York. I think one of the absolute best. You watch every show that's really great. That's on Netflix and stuff right now. And 90% of the really good ones are Avi Kaufman casting. So I go in, read for them. I didn't feel like my audition went great or anything. And I didn't hear from him for a while. And then finally I called him and I said, oh, I'm so sorry that it's not going to work out. And he's like, what? No, you're in. So went down, did that film down in Louisiana, and Edward Norton, I have a fight scene with him. And that terrified me because I saw Fight Club and that man is skilled. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm trained in that stuff, but I never know how people are going to approach a fight. You know, like to me, it's like, that's the time you're most careful, not when you're out of control. And sure enough, Ed had his nose broken when he was making a film, and he had to break my nose in this one. And just before he brings his fist back to do it, he looks at me in the eye and he goes, are you nervous I'm going to hurt you? And I said, no, I trust you. He goes, good. Because he said, I had my nose broken. I'll never break anybody's nose. And boom, goes like that. And he gets like every time. He was so perfect. And we had a frigging blast making that movie. Just really, really fun.
That's awesome. I have to wonder when you say that somebody broke his nose.
Was the camera rolling or not? I know that's where you're going with it.
And maybe you can dispel a little bit of this, but we talked to there's rumors out there that Edward Norton can be challenging to work with, and we talked to Lisa Gorlitsky, who worked with him on Rounders, and she more or less confirmed. With very gracefully confirmed, but it sounds like you had a great experience with him.
Oh my God, I think everybody's experiences on all of these things vary, and it's hard making movies. It's hard doing this stuff, and man, as hard as it is for people like me who come in, and it's its own thing, like doing a Law and Order, for example, which I've done a bunch of those. for those of us that go in and do those day player things and stuff, it's terrifying because it's like literally jumping onto a moving train that is just flying down the tracks. And everybody on the train is all settled. They're in the dining car. They do this every day. And all of a sudden you're going to jump on, go for a ride, and then jump off. I often say it's like going to a Lakers Celtics game, sitting down in the front row, and all of a sudden somebody turns and looks at you and goes, "You're in," and you got to jump in and play. You know, even if it's just catch the ball, pass it to somebody else. Like that's all I got to do. I don't even have to take a shot at the basket. You know, I just gotta pass the ball. I got to dribble it once, and then I'm out of there. That's what it feels like sometimes. So, you know, Edward is carrying all that weight, all those people who do the leads in these TV shows, who do the leads in the films, all the weight's on them. So they're carrying it. And that tension is going to do different things to different people. Now, I think I got lucky. Tim and Edward are both very good friends, and they were working collaboratively together on the film, and both had committed that thing that I'm saying when you're doing an indie, how everybody's got to be on board. They were so on board with this, having so much fun. We had Steve Earle in it, who's a freaking phenomenal guy, an amazing musician. So it's like the vibe was good. Yeah. But the thing is, Edward is like what I said about Steve Martin, about all of these people. He friggin' works. Like that guy is, so that challenge that people go, oh, that person's challenging to work with. He's challenging himself 10 times more than he's challenging anybody else. And to me, it's like, all right, you're going to be that challenging. I got to rise. It makes me only better. So it was my pleasure to work with him. And I hope I didn't drive him crazy because I mean, he's so good. And I scramble sometimes to keep up with people who are that good.
Oh, what a great time.
And, you know, like Tony Shalhoub doing Monk with him. I mean, he was every freaking scene. He's in every scene. Can you imagine that? Like you're in every scene of a television show. You never get a break. We stopped one time to have lunch and we're sitting there, we're going, phew. He literally had just gone, phew, we get to talk for a minute, you know? And then somebody runs over and goes, Tony, Entertainment Tonight is here. They want to interview you. And then we've got to run and do a reshoot on a previous episode. We got to shoot a little thing. Here's the script. Take your lunch with you. And it's like nonstop. That's a lot to carry.
It is a lot. It's got to be frustrating too if you're like a perfectionist like Edward Norton and you're that hard on yourself to give every moment 110%. It's like if you're working with a co-star or a supporting actor who's got, you know, a 5-minute part in the movie and they're not bringing 110%. It's like I'm carrying this whole thing 100% of the time at 110%. I'm just asking you to show up for 5% and give it everything. And like, if they sense any kind of like hesitate or holding back or I could see how that would be like, dude, you're ruining this. I'm bringing everything and you're not meeting me. I'm, you know, even less than halfway.
Absolutely.
That's cool to hear. Is I love Edward Norton he's ever since I saw him in Primal Fear, it just like blew my mind. Like,
I lose time.
And then Fight Club. Yeah, he's the dude. He's the man.